Hello and welcome to my first tutorial. Today we're talking about GoPro and GoPro footage. Have you ever had GoPro footage and you've had it set? There's a settings on GoPro. You've got wide, which is the kind of standard GoPro look. You've got linear and you've got medium. Not everybody knows about it, but the newer GoPros that are coming out now all seem to have it, and most people use it because people are using GoPros for vlogs and all sorts of stuff. But if you've shot in that wide field of view, you might think that your footage is ruined. That it's not necessarily been ruined at all. There is something you can do with it, and I'm going to show you how to do that with the use of Premiere Pro from Adobe and After Effects from Adobe, all part of the same suite. So let's dive in and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. Here we have Premiere Pro, and just so you know about Premiere Pro, that the version I'm using is version 13.0.2. Just so you know what you're using in case you've got a lesser one and maybe some of the features aren't available on it. What I've got is I've got some GoPro footage that I used to use on a drone that I have. In fact, I still have it. It's a 3DR Solo. A very early drone when the hobbyist commercial drones started kicking around. It's a really cool drone, and I did quite a lot of work tracking it down, finding out what kind of benefit it would have to me in filmmaking. So what I'm going to show you today is some aerial footage that I took back in 2016 on my GoPro Hero 4. It was shot in 4K, 60 frames per second, and is an aerial shot of an island near here called Easdale Island. So I'm just going to jump in here. I've dragged across my my footage here. Here is my aerial footage in a little folder, and the GoPro file here. I'm going to open that up across media pending. There it is. So this is Easdale Island, and as you can see straight away, other than the fact that it's a remarkable looking island, they used to mine slate on here. This little island's just off the mainland. I mean, you just get this little short, hop across, in a wee boat, and you can go and you can investigate the little island, create a little walk, a little day out. But as you can see, if you use the horizon as your field of view here, you can see this bend, almost like the curvature of the Earth, but no, we're not that high. This is a GoPro, so that's on its widest setting. And that's just the way it looks. But what I'm here to tell you today is that you can take that bend out of that and make it look more cinematic. So maybe if you've got all this footage you didn't realise you had and you thought was wasted, you can maybe save it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to scrub along on this line here till I get to a nice starting point. There we go, that's it. The drone's starting to move now. There we go, about there. I'm going to put an in marker. Then I'm going to pull the scrub line. I'm going to keep going all the way along here. Screw that. There's a turn there, right? I want to do that before the turn, so let's go back again. And round about there, I would say, is more than enough to put in the out sequence. Now, I'm not here to tell you how to make a cinematic sequence, how to grade it, how to add music and do all the other bells and whistles that I would normally do. This is just a quick tutorial on how to use the tool within Premiere Pro and Adobe After Effects to make what you thought was maybe, rubbish footage a little bit better, a little bit cinematic. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to drag it all the way down onto my timeline here. There we go. And that's it. That's the sequence there. Now, very simply, this is like painting by numbers. It's very point and click. There's no real in-depth knowledge required for editing within Premiere Pro or indeed After Effects. I am in no way an expert. I use the very bare minimum all of these things to do what I do. But this is just something I know how to do that I really quite like, and it's just an interesting little tip to throw out there and see if anyone else can get use out of it. So first things first, click on your newly added piece of footage here and right click on it, and then up here it says replace with After Effects composition. Just click on that. It will then open up After Effects and it will populate After Effects with that clip. As you can see, it's just popped up on the screen there. Here we go. Down here on the timeline, here is the same thing. And over here on the left hand side, in this panel, it tells you about the name of the file. Across here on the right hand side of the screen, basically we are looking at the effects and preset setting that we're going to use, because we're going to use an effect, a plugin that we can drag and drop onto this footage. And we're going to use something called Optics Compensation. It's the only one there. Just start typing it in and there it is there. Select it and then drag it all the way across and just drop it on the footage and boom, that's you halfway done. Pretty easy, right? Over here on the left hand side you've got your effects control, and there's your optics compensation, and within that drop down box, if it's just like that, hit the little arrow and everything else inside it will drop down underneath it. Now field of view, we're going to leave that to the end. Next down is called reverse lens distortion, which we are going to tick that box because we are going to reverse the lens distortion, because everything seems to bend out the way we want to bend it in the way. The field of view orientation is set to horizontal. We don't want that. So we click on it and you've got three options there: vertical, diagonal, horizontal. Now it's on horizontal, we want diagonal. The center view, well, we're going to leave that as is because that's just the way it is. And the next one is optimal pixels, which we are going to tick because we do want the pixels optimal. And the resize we're going to leave off. Then we go back to the top again and you've got this field of view here. Now, the field of view is what's going to start changing the dimension of what you see in front of you. And if you drag that to the right using the arrows, you'll see the image start to bend in the way. And in such a way, you're looking at the horizon there thinking, oh my, that's pretty cool. But obviously if you go all the way up and you go to the ridiculous amount, it just does that, and that just is ridiculous because that's no use to anybody. It was better the way it was before you start messing about with it. But to give you an idea of how this all works, that basically is like you've got a bit of cling film and you've put water in the middle of it and it sort of bends in itself. That's the effect you've created here because the diagonal is holding its spots there and you're pulling out that middle bit. Now I've done this a few times and I found that the optimum number for the field of view is actually 70. So you'll see it's there. And basically what you're looking at here, you're looking at the horizon. In all the GoPro footage you'll have just an imaginary line there. You can see where it was bent and where it wasn't, because if I undo that again, you can see the bend right there, right across the horizon. So if we go back to the field of view number and we change it back to 70, it bends it in the way and it just straightens that out. And that's all you need to do. That's it, that's you done. We're done. We are now masters of After Effects. We can all hold our heads high and know that we are editing geniuses. Yeah, perhaps not. Anyway, that's all you need to do in After Effects. That is it. You drag and drop a thing on the top, you change a couple of things, boom, that's you've got footage. And but yes, Mikey, we've got two big black holes, top and left. Yes, I hear what you're saying. We can change that. And there's two ways to change that. What we need to do is go back to Premiere Pro. And like magic, on the timeline, your footage has changed colour to let you know that After Effects has been applied. And obviously here in your program sequence, you can also see the same footage. So you've got these two black holes. There's two ways to change that. The first way is, because it's a 4K image, if you shoot in 4K, you can crop in on the image. So you could just zoom in ever so slightly till the black disappears, and that's you, done, fixed. So if this was a talking head sequence or any other sequence you used the GoPro for, and you didn't like the warp and you wanted to take it out, but you didn't want to have black back, you know, just crop in, disappears. The second thing is, what I'm going to do is, because it's much more cinematic, and given this video was about making GoPro, you know, stuff look more cinematic, we're going to go with that one. So over here, we're going to select an adjustment layer, select it at the 1080p that I've created the timeline for, and I'm going to drag the said adjustment layer over here on top of my footage and drag it out so it's the same length. I'm going to go back to my effects tab and I'm going to take a crop. Now this is what we're going to create. We're going to create an anamorphic crop bar top and bottom to hide the black holes that we've created through After Effects and bending out our image. Now that we've got that, if you go to your effect control, you can then change the crop to whatever you suit. Now, by changing, by doing it on an adjustment layer, means you don't actually physically change the video itself. You're changing a crop sitting on top of it. So on the adjustment layer, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the top part of the crop here, and I'm going to put in 12%, and then tab down to the bottom part and put in 12% also. Now you'll see on the program sequence now is that the footage has now got this anamorphic look, as you would see on any sort of Hollywood blockbuster. And that just hides the fact that we've bent that footage out. But by doing that now, you're using these leading lines then to just show how different this is now, which I think looks really, really good. And that's you. That is pretty much you done. Now all you would really be doing now is start to edit your project together and do that with the same bits of footage. You'll find your way of doing this thing. This is just the basics and how you change that footage into something more usable. And certainly I'm saying more usable because I wouldn't use that wide field of view look in a cinematic sequence, and I found a way to change it, and for me it was a total game changer. Being able to do this, it meant that my B-roll then could be used in another way. So if you liked this, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already, or hit the bell notification to let you know when the next video gets loaded up. I will endeavour to do another tutorial if this one seemed to work out for you, but I'd also be interested to know in the comments if you found it informative, if it's something you would use, and indeed any GoPro footage that you have, is it something that would benefit you? But again, thanks again for taking the time to watch it. I hope you enjoyed it, and indeed the cinematic sequence, and I'll see you all on the next one.